Hi everybody, I'm the Mischievous One, you can call me Mischief.
And I'm the Brown Bandit, you can call me Bandit.
Welcome to Phono Stage, where we connect you with the music that we love. Today's episode is our Age to Perfection Vol.2. For those of you just tuning in, our Age to Perfection episode is based off of the music solely released in our birth years, which is Bandit's is 1974, and mine is 1988. So let's just get right into this, man. What do you got first for us?
From the wonderful year, Mischief, that was 1974, what I have for you today, first and foremost, is one of the most sampled men in hip-hop history. His name is Bob James, and I'm going to be covering and talking about the song called Nautilus. Bob James' real name is Robert McKinley James, born December 25th, 1939. Professionally afterwards, and therefore subsequently rather known as Bob James, is an American jazz keyboardist, arranger, record producer, and he founded the band called Foreplay, which is this great avant-garde jazz band that, of course, I'm interested in you smiling over there, Mischief. He wrote Angela, which for my generation, we would recognize it. I don't know if you would right off the hop, maybe to hear it, because it's been sampled in different formats. It was the theme song for a show called Taxi back then. And, you know, his career kind of took off from that. And again, music from his first 7 albums or so has been largely sampled and helped and contributed to the formation of hip-hop. So he's a big deal for me. Big deal for the hip-hop community as well. One of the songs that's been sampled over and over and over is Take Me to the Mardi Gras. Everybody and anybody seemingly has sampled that. However, today we're going to talk about Nautilus. Now, Nautilus is a laid-back track. It's at times, to me, a bit eerie. It is funky fresh. And it's the 6th track and the final track off the 1974 album, Bob James 1. The title comes from producer Creed Taylor. Side note, the label was called CTI, Creed Taylor Inc. So he produced most, if not all, of the records from that time period on this label. Creed Taylor remarked that the tones were reminiscent of the sounds of a submerging submarine. That was a mouthful, submerging submarine. So therefore, and hence, Nautilus. It's featured in the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas game on the fictional Master Sounds 98.3 FM radio station that was on the game. And again, it's considered to be one of the most sampled tracks in hip-hop history. To name a few right off the hop, let's see if you all out there recognize these, you hip-hop heads out there. Slick Rick, A Children's Story, Daytona 500 by Ghostface, Follow the Leader by Eric B. and Rakim. And that's just 3. It's been sampled, I believe, over 348 songs it's been sampled on. And it's been covered 5 times. I'd heard the song before, but I never connected it with Bob James. I'd heard it, didn't know who it was by, way back when. A friend of mine lent me a CD in the 90s called Nuyorican Soul. So that's Puerto Rican soul, funk, flex kind of stuff. And there was a remake on there, and I fell in love with the song. And then I started searching out, you know, anytime I'd look for it, it said Bob James, not Nuyorican Soul kind of thing. And that's what led me to it. And then, of course, the Ghostface Killer song, aside from Slick Rick, that really has the core of that, the beginning of the track. That bass line, it's so fresh, man. There's only 3 players on this track. Three players, that's it. And the players are Bob James on keyboards, right? Gary King, whom I don't know of, on bass. But that bass line, man. If it doesn't get head snapping, I don't know what would. And lastly, Idris Muhammad on drums. And the drums on this are amazing. Subtle at times, in your face at times. I love the way the song builds and builds and builds and builds, and then you hear the orchestration in the back, and then all of a sudden it's back to the bass line. And the triplets and the drum rolls, awesome. I can't even sit still talking to you about a Mischief over here kind of thing.
And with the experience that I've had with Bob James, the majority of the music that I've come across, I can see, as a lover of hip-hop myself, I could see why a hip-hop artist would gravitate to his music specifically, because you listen to it and you could as as someone who just likes to make music, or as someone who has written music as well, sometimes it's just, I'll listen to especially this song specifically, I'll listen to it, and as soon as the drums and the bass line come in, I'm like freestyling in my head, like, right? And so I could definitely see why hip-hop heads or hip-hop guys or rappers would gravitate to his music, because you get exactly what you want from it just listening to it. So it's very easy to pick out the part you like and start sampling it. Yeah, so it's a dope song to listen to. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of funk to it.
That's it. It's a very straightforward explanation. Again, Bob James, one of the most sampled men in hip-hop history. Nautilus, one of the most sampled songs in hip-hop history. And it's funky fresh. What do you got for track number 2?
The first song I'm going to be talking about for our 1974 pick is Harry Chapman's Cats in the Cradle. Now, Harold Forster Chapman, born 1942, died 1981, was an American singer, songwriter, and philanthropist, best known for his folk rock and pop songs. He achieved worldwide success in the 70s and became one of the most popular artists and highest paid performers. Known as one of the best charting musical artists in the US, he is a Grammy Award winning artist and made a Grammy Hall of Famer in 2011. He sold over 16 million records worldwide, and has been described as one of the most beloved performers in music history. Harry Chapman is a much bigger deal than I thought he was, or that I even knew. Harry Chapman was known as being a dedicated humanitarian. He fought against world hunger and was a key participant in the creation of the Presidential Commission on World Hunger in 1977, and is credited as being the most politically and socially active American performer in the 70s. In 87, he was awarded the Congressional Gold Medal for his humanitarian work, which is one of the highest civilian awards in the US. And for those of you who don't know what that is, those chosen are individuals or groups who have performed an achievement that has an impact on American history and culture that is likely to be recognized as a major achievement in the recipient's field long after the achievement was done. So basically, it's still a big deal to this day, is all that means. So he was a big part of the creation of that, which is just insane. So that's who Harry Chapman is, or was rather, as a person. To jump into the song that I have brought today, which is Cats in the Cradle. It's a folk song released in 1974 off of his Verities and Boulder Dash album. This song, Cats in the Cradle, topped the US Billboard Top 100 in 74. Being his only #1 song, it became what he was best known for and also the staple for future folk rock music. Chapman was nominated for the Grammy Award for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance for this song in 75. Now, to talk about the song itself, it's almost very eerie sounding. Aside from what the song is about, which is actually a very touching story, the musicality of it, I find has like an eeriness to it. So much so that my younger sister hates the song because she just, as soon as she hears it, for some reason it kind of creeps her out. The music creeps her out, so it makes her very uncomfortable, so she stopped listening to it, or we'll switch the song. So I couldn't listen to the playlist sometimes with my sister around because she'd switch the song if it came on. Cats in the Cradle, the lyrics began actually as a poem by Chapman's wife. The poem itself was inspired by the awkward relationship between her first husband and his father, which also inspired Chapman because of his own relationship with his own son, stating that the song actually scared him to death. Now, the song is a heartbreaking story that tells the tale of a father who can't seem to schedule the time he wants to be with his son, which serves as a warning for a lot of people against putting one's career before your family. So, the lyrics of the song go, "My child arrived the other day. He came to the world the usual way, but there were planes to catch and bills to pay." Over time, as the song goes, both are growing older, and the roles end up switching. Because as the son is getting older, he has his own interests, he has his own hobbies, he has his own life, he's going to school. Again, the lyrics explain that as well by saying when he came from college just the other day, so much a man, I just had to say, "Son, I'm so proud, can you sit for a while?" He shook his head and said with a smile, what I'd really like, Dad, is to borrow the car keys." As the father is now retired and working less and has the time for his son is now working or going to college or has his own family or, being a parent or being an adult. So now the son can't seem to schedule the time for the father. So the lyrics end up switching near the end of the song. The lyrics end up switching to, I've long since retired. My son's moved away. I called him up just the other day. I said, I'd like to see you if you don't mind. He said, I'd love to, Dad, if I can find the time. So you basically see how the roles, how a father does whatever he can for his family, putting his career first, and then the son basically follows suit, right? And he says, the lyrics even say in the song, when the kid is at a younger age, I'm going to grow up to be like him. I'm just going to grow up to be like my dad. Can we spend time together? Sounds like, sorry, son, I can't. And he's like, that's okay. I get it, Dad. And then as his dad's doing his thing, he's like, I'm going to be like him. Like he's proud of his dad, right? That's as scary as the song might be when it comes to growing older and your kids growing older, and just life changing, generations changing. It's still a beautiful song to see as a son is looking up to his father, not as in like, oh, my dad was never around, but like, my dad was doing what he could for us, and I'm going to do the same for my family when I get older. I think it was a very beautiful song, aside from the fact that the music is a little eerie. But it's still a beautiful song with a beautiful message, and it's definitely just like Harry Chapman's humanitarian work. This song's point is relevant and will be relevant for generations to come.
As a parent, and obviously we all get to watch our parents, but I got to, at this age now, this song means much more to me. I lost my daughter last year. Our regular viewers might know that. If not, well, there you go. for the most part, I think all kids want to be like their parents off the hop, right? I think it's a devastatingly sad, beautiful song. It hurts me to hear this song. Nonetheless, it brings me so much joy hearing this song. It's one of those for me. My dad played this a lot. My dad played this song a hell of a lot. His dad was a workaholic. He worked in the railways, and he was an engineer, my grandfather, and just worked a lot. He was a workaholic. My dad ended up being the exact same. He worked a lot. I was left to my own tendencies or machinations, or however you want to say that. And then, of course, I had my daughter. I worked a lot, and I certainly made time for her, and she made time for me. But there's always that longing of wanting more. She wants more, or I want more. But your daughter, just like in the song, gets to that college age, young adult, they're off. They're doing their thing. I don't think it's a warning to parents out there. Enjoy your time with your kids. Don't make them grow up too fast. It is gone in a blink of an eye, and then you're an adult and you're off to the races, clinging for that youthful innocence and freedom, lack of responsibility even at times. So that's my thoughts on that song with my dad. Same kind of topic with my mom. My mom worked her ass off and made sure I had everything I wanted to and more, and my brother for that matter. We lost my brother 2019 as well, and my mom, one of the things that she always says, and I don't hold her against it, it's like the song says, right? You want to be like your dad. Well, my mom was a workaholic too, but she needed to be to pay the bills. I had everything I wanted and more, loved and materialistically, but mom feels that she missed out on that time. So I hear this a lot from parents, especially. I wish I could have that time back. I wish I didn't work so much. I wish I stayed home more, kind of thing, right? So that's what I think about when I hear this song, in good ways and in a happy way, and devastatingly sad at times, depending on where my mindset's at. First and foremost, it reminds me of my father, and I think about him a lot because it must have reminded him about his father. And that's all I got to say on it.
But yeah, that was my first pick, Harry Chapman's "Cats in the Cradle," released in 1974.
As my next pick for 1974, I'm going to talk about a song called "Funky President, People It's Bad," which I think is so telling of its time, yes, and of our time, and that's what makes it timeless. "Funky President, People It's Bad" is by this gentleman named James Brown, the other most sampled man in hip-hop history, if not the most sampled man in hip-hop history. James Brown. For those of you who may not know who James Brown is, I find that very hard to believe, people. James Joseph Brown, born May 3rd, 1933, passed away on Christmas Day in 2006. I didn't know that until starting to do this research. Was fortunate enough to see him in concert once later on in his career. The maestro still had it. Absolutely still had it. Poppin'. Put on. What a showman. So, James Brown, before I continue waxing poetic about the man, Mr. Brown, was an American singer, songwriter, dancer, musician, record producer, and band leader, otherwise known as a maestro. Those are my words, not anybody else's. Maestro. He was and is the father of funk. Period. And a major figure of the 20th century dance music scene, right? Starts right at him. He is often referred to by the honorific names the Godfather of Soul or Mr. Dynamite. And of course, Soul Brother number 1, which I think, what fantastic names, Mischief. If I could have one that sounded as flipping honorific as that. You know? Brown was one of the first 10 inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I didn't know that at its inaugural induction dinner in New York on January 23rd, 1986. I had no clue about that. So he's in that first wave. That's pretty hype. And we all know different things about James Brown in his career. What he did, who he sang with, where he performed, but he actually started off as a gospel singer, which was common and is still common. And he first became known to the national public in the 50s as the lead singer of the famous Flames, a rhythm and blues vocal group founded by Bobby Bird. I think his most famous, as far as hits went and performances go, were in the 60s at the Apollo, live at the Apollo. I'm still fond of using that phrasing, This isn't live at the Apollo, So that's just a little bit of some background with James Brown. He's in the JBs. He's had various hits, but I chose to go with this song because of the time we're in. After just what happened in the U.S. On Capitol Hill, how horrific that was to see, I thought this song needed to be mentioned again. Because the last time, for instance, any talk of the 25th Amendment being used was during the time of Nixon. In a former episode, you had touched on that.
And if I'm correct, you are referring to Impeach the President.
Yes. Another great funky song. It's a funk song released in 1974, in October of 1974, rather. Charted number 4 on the R&B charts. Also appeared on the album Reality. And according to Brown, the funky president of the song's title was meant to refer to the U.S. President Gerald Ford, who had succeeded Richard Nixon. The band for this song, some heavy hitters. We got David Sanborn on sax. We got Joe Farrell on tenor and flute. Alfred Pee Wee Ellis on the baritone saxophone. So a lot of horns on this, as you can tell. Pat Ribilo, Joe Beck on guitar, Sam Brown, Gordon Edwards, Alan Schwartzberg, Johnny Griggs on percussion. So there's like 2 guitarists, a bass player, drums, percussion, keyboards, and then the rest is horns, kind of thing. And then there's James. And you don't need much more after James. You don't need much more before James. We're gonna get to my earlier statement about him being one of the most, if not most, sampled men in hip-hop history. Songs that have sampled this song. I'm gonna go really quickly, and I'm just gonna name a few, because the list goes on and on and on. Here we go. Eric B. and Rakim. Eric B. is president. Make him clap to this. MC Shan, Kill That Noise. NWA, Fuck the Police. Guy, Groove Me. Salt and Pepper, Shake Your Thing. Public Enemy, Fight the Power. Heavy D and the Boys, We Got Our Own Thing. Brand Nubian, All for One. Ice Cube, Jackin' for Beats. LL Cool J, 6 Minutes of Pleasure. It's on and on and on and on and on. And I love saying that, by the way, to you all out there in Mischief. So that just kind of proves the point, kind of thing, as far as how much it's been sampled. Lyrics are very simple. Funky Town, nasty. Hey, listen to the man. Yeah, I'm the Godfather, baby. That's his intro. People, we got to get over before we go under. People, we got to get over before we get under. It's a message from then. It's still a message from now. Let's get over what's going on here and move forward as a collective. Hey, country, didn't you say what you meant? Just changed. Brand new funky president. Meaning funky. Like, oh no, got a next one kind of thing. I'm hoping that's not the case for the States now. Praying and hoping. Stock market's going up, jobs going down. Ain't no funking around, jobs to be found. Again, the reason I'm reading this out like this, very straightforward, very simplistic, lyrically, heavy in meaning. Heavy in meaning. Again, written and produced by James. There's the subtitle, People, It's Bad. Again, referring to the time that they're going through. So Ford isn't what you think of as funky. He's a very straight-laced, vanilla-looking man. But in his song, the funk is the stink of corruption. Quote, the stink of corruption and inequality. Sound familiar, people, from the last 4 years? Let's get over this, people. It's bad. I find it interesting that the song, how songs get sampled. Sometimes they get sampled along the same lines. Public Enemy's Fight the Power. Same message. Powerful message, right? On the other hand, Fresh Prince sampled it for Summertime. Because the grooves are so laid back and yet in your face. And that's James Brown to a T for me.
James Brown he's a big deal in music on so many different levels. He's up there as one of the most influential people, for sure. And at the same time, his music was good because of the fact that he brought the energy to it. Not to discredit the musicians of JB's or anything like that. They were all in an incredible band. The band played with, a lot of other artists, just like I mentioned in our Sampled of Samples episodes with the Lynn Collins. Think about it. It was the JBs that were part of that performed on that song, and that song was heavily influenced by James Brown. Well, because of also the fact he was part of he produced it and was part of it, the creation of that song. James Brown. It's not only James Brown's music that was sampled; it was James Brown. Because of his energy. It was not to say that they didn't use some of the words that he was saying, or because his words obviously were very important and very current with what was going on, and his lyrics had a message to it, for sure. And that message could definitely be sampled and repeated in other generations and other music. But even things just like, hey! like that would have been sampled. That would have just been sampled. Because that brings a liveliness, that can bring a liveliness to a song, right? Even something as simple as that. So James Brown's music on so many different levels has brought so much newer music to us that I don't even realize if people realize that.
Emphatically so. What do you got for us, Mischief?
So, for my last pick, or for the last pick for the 1974 year of releases, I got Redbone's Come and Get Your Love. Come and get your love. Such a slow start, right? And then it jumps in with so much funk and so much fun, and the dancer in me comes out. Now, Redbone is a Mexican-American, Native American rock band formed in the 70s. The word Redbone is actually a Cajun term for a mixed-race person, which the band adopted to signify their mixed ancestry. Come and Get Your Love topped at number 5 on the US Billboard's Hot 100 in 74, selling over 1 million copies and getting certified gold. This was off the Wovoka album. Come and Get Your Love stayed at the top 40 for 18 weeks, landing as the 4th most popular song of 1974. And like I was saying, man, this song starts off so like acapella-ish, just so like so nice and I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Almost like this like serenity to it. It's like come and get your like right there in the beginning, and then boom, 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 boom. Right? It's just that bass and the drums come in, and the song just takes off on this such a fun journey. And the song is actually narrating an individual telling his girl that she is perfect the way she is. No matter how she looks, how she acts, or anything about her being, none of it matters. Just come and get this love. And one notable thing about the song, which I was very, very confused about the instrument when listening to it, the twangy, distorted guitar sound. I was very unsure what that was. I was unsure if it was maybe a keyboard of some kind, or like an accordion or something like that. But it's actually a guitar being played through a Leslie organ speaker. And yeah, so it's basically a guitar being plugged into one of those, and the sound's getting sent through an organ speaker rather than a guitar speaker, and that's what the twanginess is. Which as soon as I read that, I was just like, I hear it. I hear that organ kind of sound. To add to the fun of the song, the very end of the song, where it's just the lyrics are just a bunch of la 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 la, and then like beep bop boop bop skip bop, like it's just a bunch of scatting and just random nonsense, and you can totally tell that the band is having so much fun with performing the song.
Was it in Guardians?
Yes, it was. So, Come and Get Your Love, which featured in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Vol.1. It was when Star-Lord first gets introduced, and he's about to take that first relic out of the tomb.
Yeah.
He's dancing
he's singing
with
to the
all
rat,
those little
right?
little dinosaur things attacking him, I think.
I thought, and I still think that intro to that movie, specifically with that song, is so dope. It's so perfect. It's such a dancey song, but it's also one of those songs you want to sing in karaoke.
And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. It's such a simple little blurb about the song, but it's such a fun, funky song. And yeah, that's it. That's Redbone's Come and Get Your Love.
I'm coming in hard.
Okay. Okay, sure.
As I've stated before, it's my teenage years, very formative years as far as the music I listened to and what was hitting me off, where my mental state was, so on and so forth, as are all our teenage years to a certain degree, if not a full degree. And I'm going to talk about a song by EPMD. Eric and Parrish, the Microphone Doctors. EPMD. You know what I'm saying? Or rather, as their song goes, so what you saying? But I'm going to talk about You Gots to Chill. I'm going to focus on EPMD's time period between 87 and 92. This is off their first album, so really it's 87, 88, which again I've stated as, and we all know, is the golden age of hip-hop, or the first golden age of hip-hop. So You Gots to Chill is from the album called Strictly Business, which came out in July of 88. Genre would be East Coast hip-hop. This is one of the bands that crossed over, and they had a song named Crossover. That's besides the point, but they were accepted by East and West Coast, especially with You Gots to Chill. It was, people were, You Gots to Chill meaning, yo, he's back. He's back and relax. You guys are biting our styles. You guys are biting this person, that person. You Gots to Chill kind of thing. Come up with your own stuff. The song, back to sampling, sampled one of the most ass-shaking, knee-wiggling, elbows, knees greasing slappers of a song by Zap, More Bounce to the Ounce. And right away, as soon as you know that that's the sample, it's just going to be a banger of a track. And it got mad play, and the album went gold, actually, in 30 days. They rhyme about it.
Yeah, that beat when it comes in is like, like it's right in your face.
And that's not the only song sampled in the song, which I think is funny. So it's More Bounce to the Ounce by Zap, Jungle Boogie by Kool and the Gang, Catch a Groove by Juice, and I Can't Stop by John Davis and the Monster Orchestra. All crazy. Sorry. And I believe I Know You Got Soul by Eric B. and Rakim. It sampled that too. All these samples overlaying. So anybody saying that, these guys aren't making music, you guys go do that. Go grab samples and make it into something so cohesive and so banging that'll test your system, test your brain pan lyrically. They were young at the time, and coming out with this message of you know, we want to be and sound original, and this is our style. So you all you biting ass MCs, you got to chill, kind of thing. And that's all I have to say about that track. It was one of my childhood, adolescent, that whole album, Strictly Business. I could have talked about the whole album, but I chose to go with You Gots to Chill just for the Zap sample, if nothing else, man. Again, it's one of those ones that you put on it and everybody's on the dance floor, period.
It's an ass-shaking beat, right? Like,
well put, mister. Well put. Period. It's just it's an ass-shaking beat.
Yeah.
What do you got for us for your first choice of 1988, Mischief? Your birth year, your birthright.
For my first pick for 1988, I got Bobby Brown's Every Little Step. Robert Brown, born in 1969, is an American singer, songwriter, rapper, dancer, and actor. Bobby Brown, alongside frequent collaborator Teddy Riley, who I brought up from No Diggity, are both pioneers of that new jack swing, which, if you don't know what that is kind of like a fusion of hip-hop and R&B. Brown was originally a member of New Edition, who also have a very long list of great songs, and Every Little Step is off the Don't Be Cruel album, written by L.A. Reid and Kenneth Babyface Edmonds. Every Little Step reached number 3 on the Hot 100, number 1 on the Hot Black Singles charts, and number 6 on the UK Singles charts in '89. Now, as I mentioned before, that L.A. Reid and Babyface are the ones who wrote the song. The song was actually written about Perry Pebbles, who was dating L.A. Reid at the time and then later became his wife. So that was actually that relationship is what inspired the writing of the song. Now, Every Little Step is about falling for a girl in a big way. So the lyrics go, and every time I can't read, like, okay, the lyrics go, you know, I can't sleep at night, I toss and turn, right? Listen to the telephone. Like, you can't just read the lyrics, right? When I get your call, I'm all choked up. Like,
can't believe you called my phone. As a matter of fact.
Right? It's the beat is so much fun. But I can't sleep at night. I toss and turn, listening for the telephone. When I get your call, I'm all choked up. I can't believe you're calling my home. And as a matter of fact, it blows my mind that you'd even talk to me, because a girl like you is a dream come true, a real fantasy.
I'm dancing and lip syncing while you're saying it, man. I got
right, and then the chorus comes in, right? Like, every little step I take,
you will be there.
Every little minute. I'm breaking shit in my house.
Getting a little carried away with the fucking dancing there, Mischief.
It's such a fun song. It's such the lyrics are straight up love song. And like I said, it's about falling for a girl in a big way, and that's what the lyrics show. And obviously it's a lot of fun to dance to, and like I said, it's on repeat.
Well, first of all, look at the two of us. It's one of those songs. Like, you're gonna dance to it or you're gonna sing it. You're gonna move to it. Period. For me, sorry, Ma. I got my first little, taste of whatever from a girl to this album. Don't Be Cruel by Bobby Brown. It was playing. That's one. Secondly, it was on repeat. I wore out this album. That's two. Back then. Number three, this is me at my dancing prime, where we'd go, I'm not legal yet, but we'd go to the community center jams or like all ages jams. There'd be the circle, you'd be doing Running Man, whatever. And if you watched the video, his dancers and him, those are the moves we were doing or trying to do or creating our own versions of or whatever, right? And I loved it. That everything about that era, that song, automatic. As soon as you start, I didn't get that feeling until you started reading or trying to read the lyrics and actually singing to the gang out there, you all. And that song brings me so much joy. I didn't know. Sorry, you said it was Teddy Riley wrote it? L.A. Reid, right. About his wife. Right, I always thought it was about Whitney. No, honestly, because I think they were courting at the time. Or starting to date or something, right? So for me, as an adult, I always thought it was about Whitney. And that's all I gotta say about that. Thank you for bringing that song today, Mischief. What a happy memory, and what happy memories that does bring back for me. So you all out there, check this song. It'll do the same for you.
Yes, and that's Bobby Brown's Every Little Step from 1988. So what is your last pick for the 88?
I'm sticking with Golden Age Hip Hop for you, for your year, Mischief. And for you all out there, our viewers or listeners, I'm going to talk about a song and a group that was of their time and of its time then, and ahead of their time and of its time, and is still relevant with what is going on right now. All throughout the last couple of years, possibly throughout our lives. I'm going to talk about Public Enemy. The song I'm going to talk about and mention, and I'll get back to that, is Don't Believe the Hype. Public Enemy is an American hip-hop group formed by Chuck D and Flavor Flav on Long Island in New York in '85. I got their first album as a kid. Yo, Bum Rush the Show. It was two things. It was Flavor Flav, and there was a James Brown sample. Back to that dude. That Public Enemy had used in a song called Public Enemy No. 1. That was off their first, and that's how they kind of hook, lure, and sinker. They got me. I'm in. Then It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back comes out. Politically driven, hard to listen to by our parents. They didn't know what the hell. My dad would wonder, what is wrong with my child? I'm aggressive, I'm angsty, I'm 14 to 16 years old. What is he listening to? This sounds angry. And Don't Believe the Hype is angry. Again, it's off of It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Came out in June of '88. It is a political hip-hop album. It was on Def Jam Records, which was one of the premier hip-hop labels to be on at the time, and it was a newer label. The songwriters include Carl Ridenour, Hank Shock Lee, Eric Vietnam Sadler, William Drayton. The producers were the Bomb Squad. And Don't Believe the Hype is a song by them. It was their second single off the album. The lyrics are mostly about the political issues that were current in the States at the time of its release. And guess what? Still fucking current now. So don't believe the hype, people. Read behind the scenes. What's the media telling you? What's this person or that person telling you? Be intelligent and researched. Look at things properly before making any judgments or decisions. I'm still flabbergasted with how powerful this song is. I don't listen to this song in a non-aggressive manner as far as how I'm feeling. It hypes me. It's in the name of the song, hype, right? It gets me hype. I don't want to say it in an angry way, but in a let's do something. I'm about it. Let's do something.
It motivates you.
It'll get me up and going. I like he always had this thing for his cars too, Chuck D. And I like this one verse here. It says, "Don't believe the hype, it's a sequel," meaning their second album, right? "As an equal, can I get this through to you? My 98's booming with a trunk of funk. All the jealous punks can't stop the dunk. Coming from the school of hard knocks, some perpetrate, they get Clorox. Attack the black because they know they lack exact the Colfax, and still they try to Xerox." He's just, he goes on to say he's the leader of the new school. And by new school, it wasn't just this fun la-di-da, hey, shake your ass, go to the party, drink it up, smoke your blunts. He had something to say here. This was the East Coast side of it. There was also the West Coast side of it. NWA was also saying something. They're not happy with what's going down in their lives. And that's what this song's about. Debuted at number 21 on the Dance Music Club singles. 18 on the Hot R&B singles, and then on the Hot Dance Music Maxi singles, it debuted at 17. That's just it. It is of its time still to this day. It holds true. The message still comes across, and I think it's really important. Whether you are a fan of hip-hop, rap, whatever you want to call the genre, the message in this song is important. And again, it's current. That's what I have to say about that song, Mischief. I decided to end on a serious note, and I also wanted to end it because it goes along with my James Brown pick for earlier. Both these bands very influential going forward with the hip-hop that came out after them, to this day still. What do you got for your second and our last choice of 1988?
I decided to end on I like my upbeat. I love having fun. Who doesn't? And this song is fun. The song I'm going to be talking about, the last song that I'm going to be talking about from 1988 is The Proclaimers' I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles. This Scottish rock duo formed in 83 are actually twin brothers, Charlie and Craig Reed. Their music has been said to have a diverse range of styles influenced within their music, like country, folk, and punk rock. But their actual playing ranges, like what they enjoy to play or what they try to mimic in their songs, include more of like a roots rock, alternative rock, or a folk rock kind of feel. So I'm Gonna Be was the lead single that was released off the Proclaimers album Sunshine on Leith. It reached number 11 on the UK charts, number 3 on the US Hot 100, and reached number 4 in Canada. The song is about being devoted to a woman and wanting to spend the rest of your life with her. And, you know...
You're romantical, Mischief.
It's been said. I can't even say... I can't say anything.
That's a grand thing. Hats off.
But this song is just like Every Little Step in the sense that, well, let me just read the lyrics out. You know? When I wake up.
It's another one of those.
It's another one of those songs, right? It's if anything, it's an even more karaoke driven song. So let me try here, right? So when I wake up, well, you know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. And the accent is in the song, right? That you can hear their accents in their singing. It adds to the song. There's so much fun to the music and the way they perform it. And it just continues. When I go out, well, you know I'm gonna be the man that goes along with you. Right? When I get drunk, you know I'm gonna be the man that gets drunk next to you. It's straightforward. This is the woman that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I'm going to be there with you doing it too. And it's a lovely song, a lot of fun. And honestly, in my opinion, the production of it kind of sounds ahead of its time. Like the production is so clean and crisp and a lot of fun with everything with the performance that is just, it sounds like it could have been a much later than 1988 recording.
I also think it sounds off the floor. Well, I could picture them singing it off the floor together with the band.
Right, and well, the music is very, very simplistic. It's just the fun and the energy that comes through it that makes it what it is. On top of the fact that their lyrics are very easy, their lyrics are very fun. The fact that, you know, you can hear the Scottish accent as they're singing adds to it, because it makes you not want to sing the song the way you would. It makes you want to sing the song the way they would, right?
It's some funny stuff about that. It's not necessarily that I loved the song when it came out back then. Like I said, I'm an aggressive teenager listening to other things. But it was played so much on the radio, such a big hit, that indelibly it's imprinted on my mind. and in my memory. And so now when I hear it these days, it is such a wonderful feeling that washes over me because it reminds me of happier moments in that time period. Traveling in the car or whatever, right? And a silly side note on that is that when I hear the song now, I march along to it if I'm singing with it. When I wake up, I'm not dancing. It's not a song to dance to for me. But I march, it's like I kind of do this march thing while I'm singing it. Again, you picked a fucking karaoke classic. I go straight up. Like, can't you picture our cousin Steven doing a duet with you standing on top of a table?
I could picture Steven doing your march on top of a table by himself, singing this song. Maybe with his kids right beside him.
Ah, well put, man. Even better.
But yeah, that's the Proclaimers. I'm gonna be 500 miles. My last pick for our Age to Perfection birth years episode. You started off with.
I started off with Bob James' Nautilus.
And then I went to Harry Chapin's Cats in the Cradle.
Yeah, and then I mentioned a gentleman named James Brown, Funky President, People It's Bad.
And then I got the last one for 1974 was Redbone's Come and Get Your Love.
And then I went on to Golden Age Hip Hop era's EPMD with You Gots to Chill.
I brought us back to that New Jack Swing with Bobby Brown's Every Little Step.
And I ended my section with an important track before and of today, Public Enemy's Don't Believe the Hype.
And then I jumped us into a much more fun, loving song with the Proclaimers, I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles. And yeah, that's our Age to Perfection. Our focus is on 1974 and 1988. Thank you everyone for listening.
I sincerely hope that you enjoyed our choices. And Mischief, happy birthday, oh boy.
Thank you. I'm the Mischievous One.
I'm the Brown Bandit.
And hope you enjoy, everyone. Take care.
Take care. Peace out.